Matthew. So we got a lot, and I mean a lot, of feedback this past week on our opening bits. And one thing we get feedback about is our opening bits being too visually focused when many of our massive audience. I think Joe Rogan is maybe like twice our size, somewhere in that area. A lot of those people are listeners, and I am guilty of sometimes having visual gags. So this week and moving forward, I wanted to have an audible gag. So it's just kind of a recurring gag you'll hear throughout the podcast. It's kind of a bit, but it'll just be here, until probably the next 15 or 16 years, depending on the lifespan of my cats. But I did just get my cats collars that have bells on them. So you'll be hearing them, jittering about, jumping around. It's just a bit, though. Don't worry. I'll take them off as soon as the podcast is over. But I just thought I thought our audio listeners would really appreciate that, and our visual listeners and visual learners, visual viewers, would also appreciate that, just for the nuanced comedy of that little jingle, every maybe 10, 15 minutes.
I kind of want to write something to detect the bell noise and replace it with a subtle Larry Herb.
Larry Herb. Yeah. That's actually some other feedback we've been getting, is that we don't have enough Larry Herb content.
Bring back the Herb.
Now that the next gen is revved up and ready to go, and Larry Herb is right there behind the wheel, commanding the biggest juggernaut gaming has ever seen in Xbox, I think we should bring back the Herb. But the other piece of feedback we've gotten is theme song. And this is the Motion Pixels podcast. I am your co-host, your lovely co-host, August Meyer. August, say hello. Hello. Joined this week by Matthew Rawlings. Matthew, say hello.
Hello.
And Matthew, my lovely co-host, and I this week are, of course, co-hosting the Motion Pixels podcast. And this week, Matthew Rawlings, my lovely co-host, we plan to we're just talking games. We're just talking games, and also movies. Though it's kind of weird to consider this one that we're going to be talking about a movie. We watched the movie Host on Shudder. Really weird movie, almost a short film. It's really good, really cool, and real scary. Revving us up for the scary movie season coming up. Very excited about that. We'll also be talking about Among Us, which I have not played, but Matt has some ideas, thoughts, critiques, criticisms, social commentary about that we'll get into. What else are we talking about, Matt?
We're also going to go over some of that Xbox versus PS5 drama situation, arms race, whatever you want to call it. That's been building up.
A Cold War.
Yeah, because it actually finally just popped. We got the Xbox prices, and we have the rumored PS5 prices. So I'm going to go over some of that, see who's the winner going in. And then also a little bit of a Watchmen teaser, because I've been watching that. And not done, but we're going to talk about it just a little bit.
Yeah, holy shit, bro. That show's so good. But yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Okay, actually, Can we jump into Watchmen teaser first? I really want to talk about it a little bit.
Before we do, I would like to complain. That I had this really funny, biting, very contemporary visual opening bit that I had all planned, and it was struck down by Matt, who really is just ruling this podcast with an iron fist now, saying that some people listen to it and won't get it. Like, come on. My visual bit was going to be comparing pictures from either apocalyptic movies or movies with like sepia tone and a lot of fog, like Once Upon a Time in America, like that Western movie. It's all sepia tone and shit with the air that you're currently breathing over in Seattle. Pictures of the sky over there.
It actually looks like that. I looked out my window the other day and it was just yellow. Like, all right, cool. Staying inside.
Yeah, you're living over there in the good, the bad, and the ugly, where the good is that you are joining us this week here on the Motion Pixels podcast. The bad is that you're living in an apocalypse, and the ugly is you.
Yeah, my mom always said I had a face for podcasting.
That's a new, Wikipedia, write this down. If you guys could go update our Wikipedia entry and the Wikipedia entry for famous moments in vernacular development. A face for podcasting is the new a face for radio.
It really is.
Yeah, I mean, we're both total complete uggos. So just lemons. We're really just a couple of lemons out here. So, thank God we don't have face cams on. Holy smokes. But yeah, let's talk about Watchmen, Matt. So just as a disclaimer, I am enthusiastic about Watchmen because it is just this, it's like a kitchen sink cookie. They're those cookies that just have like everything. It has like pretzels and chocolate and like toffee and shit. And it's just like everything that you want to throw in. It's just, Watchmen is so full of stuff that I love that it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful to me and amazing to me, because I am just a lifelong fan of Watchmen. Like ever since I was reading comic books when I was a kid, I found Watchmen at some point, read it like a million times, was obsessed with it. And then the movie came out and I already was this like testosterone filled, awkward teen who loved Zack Snyder movies. And Watchmen came out directed by him, and it's all hella Zack Snyder slow-mo punching dudes and stuff, but it's also like almost like a frame for frame adaptation of the comic book to some degree. But I like went to the midnight showing dressed as Rorschach, and a dude asked me to like take his friend took his picture of him like while I was slamming him against a wall as if I were like interrogating him as Rorschach. I put charcoal around my eyes to like blend in with the mask like he does in the book and movie. And that charcoal just like didn't come off my eyes for like several days because I couldn't figure out how to get it off. So that whole weekend I was just walking around like a ghost or whatever. And basically I love Watchmen. And the show is showrun by Damon Lindelof, who also was the showrunner for The Leftovers, which I think is just an incredible show. He was a showrunner on Lost, which you and I both, I know, love both of those. And Regina King is also like the star of it, and she was incredible in The Leftovers, and I'm a big fan of hers. And man, it's just so many things I love. And it also like starts with like crazy historical fiction that highlighted a part of American history that I had never learned about that is just insane. This like domestic attack, the Tulsa massacre. That was like one of the craziest scenes I've ever seen. And man, Watchmen's real good. Watchmen's very, very good. And I'm glad you finally watched it.
Yeah. Can I give you a disclaimer?
Yeah.
I'm like none of those things.
You like Lost.
I know, I did like Lost. Yeah, no, the stuff you said, like Leftovers, great. Everybody should watch that. Still holds up. It's not even that old.
Especially now that we're living in the end times.
Yeah, especially now. And then, Lost, but like never been a huge fan of Watchmen. Like I liked the movie, never read the book or read the comic, whatever it is. And never really had a real affinity for it, I guess. But you told me to watch it when it was airing, last November?
Mm-hmm.
And I have a HBO Max subscription now, so I decided, what better time? And dude, one word to describe this show is just style, dude. It is just dripping with style. Like everything about it, dude. Like every aspect of it is just so stylized, from like how the characters look to the history to the sound, like that techno beat that will play. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
It's like, and it's not just that it's like visually saturated in like style, like a Wes Anderson movie or something. It's the fact that it like packs such a punch to you at watching it as an American. It really hits home. I think it's a very affecting show, and its style has a lot to do with that, with showing how crazy its subject matter is. It's quite good. It's quite good.
Also, like, and all the characters too, dude. Like, I feel that like two of the main characters they added are like almost better than the ones in the original movie, I feel.
Well, dude, that's the thing. Okay, the reason why, to me, Watchmen the show is just as good as the book is because it's like a sequel. It's like a sequel that like feels right. It feels like they really honored the original source material and built on it. So it's almost better than the original, because it completely gets what Watchmen is. This like dismantling of superheroes and this like punch of reality. And it's the 2020 version of that. Like it's almost like an adaptation of the original Watchmen, but like for the things that people are talking about and really care about today.
Yeah, it's so good.
Dude, and so many squids, not enough shows with squids.
Yeah, that was the weird part. That wasn't in the movie, right? I don't remember that. Like,
okay, Matt, okay. We're going to get into it a little bit. Folks, this is supposed to be a teaser, but this is like a Slurpee right now. This is not an appetizer. This is just pure Slurpee. Yeah, so Matt, the squids to me are an argument for why Watchmen the show is better than Watchmen the movie, which is a very divisive movie. A lot of people really don't like it, including people who are big fans of the book. I am not one of those people. I think it's an incredible adaptation. But if you remember, Matthew, at the end of what happens at the end of Watchmen, do you remember what the conclusion of the movie is?
No, not really. I don't remember the big thing that shows up in this show, though.
All right. Yeah. So, Matt, the big thing that shows up in Watchmen that we're going to spoil here, because you should. Is that okay to spoil this big reveal? What do you think?
The reveal in the show or in the movie?
The literally large reveal in the show. Are you okay with spoiling that?
I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know if I've seen it yet, so no.
Okay, you've told me you have, but out of respect, I will not. But I will say that the one thing that the Watchmen show does that the movie didn't have the ambition to do, because when the movie came out, people were talking about how are they going to film this? How are they going to film this scene? Like there's one scene in the book that happens towards the end that is just a very large event that happens, like physically a large event that happens, and it's also very it's extremely bizarre visually, and people were wondering how that would work in a movie form, and Zack Snyder, the director, came out and said that they just didn't think it could be taken seriously in a movie. It's extreme. It's very outlandish, this thing that I'm talking about, this big kind of something that happens at the very end of the book, and the Watchmen show shows it. They take this thing that happened in the book, this event that happened in the book, and show it on screen in Watchmen the show, and it works, and it's dope, and it's not goofy at all, and that I think speaks to the caliber of show we're talking about, that they did something better than the movie and like truly adapted something from the book that people were skeptical could work in a movie or show. And man, the show rules.
Yeah. I can't wait to finish the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, you've definitely seen it. This thing that I'm talking about. I know that
Okay.
you've seen it. It's something that happens with Looking Glass, of one of the coolest characters in like any show recently. This is like he's this like paranoid dude who has a bunker, like an apocalypse bunker in his backyard, who is like a forensic psychologist kind of guy who is a masked superhero working for the police, who brings people into this like augmented reality like amusement park ride almost, that like helps him like read their minds, right? Is that a good descriptor of Looking Glass, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so dope.
One of him, Sister Knight, better than some of the original people in the Watchmen book.
Absolutely. Oh my god, Sister Knight, dude, and Sister Knight's origin story, it's all, man, it's just so good. Sister Knight is played by Regina King. She's like a nun. She dresses up, she's this black woman who dresses up as a nun and beats the shit out of people. She's like Batman, but a nun. And then Looking Glass, he wears this reflective rubber, reflective rubber mask that covers his entire skull, and it's like a mirror. And I think that was all done with CG. I don't think that's like a real material that exists, because it's really freaky to look at. Like it looks like it's out of a horror movie, honestly. Looking Glass's outfit.
Yeah.
It's like really spooky.
I love that actor too.
Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Friend of the podcast, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
And Buster Scruggs himself.
Yeah, literally the man, the myth, the legend, Buster Scruggs. Another friend of the podcast, Buster. Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson is a world-class actor. He's only in the best things. Like, name a bad movie that Tim Blake Nelson is in. Actually, join us on Discord, the Motion Pixels Discord. Go to the corrections channel and tell us we fucked up and Tim Blake Nelson was in some dog shit that we need to hear about. Yeah, I always forget to plug the Motion Pixels Discord, so there you go. Shout out to my dad who's in the Discord. But yeah, man, Watchmen fucking rips. Ugh, it's so good. The guy who plays I don't know his last name, but his first name is Yahya. His last name starts with an A. Who plays Regina King's husband? Super good in Watchmen.
I really liked him too.
Yeah, I'm really pumped to see Candyman. That's another Jordan Peele produced movie coming out at some point, whenever movies come out. And yeah, Watchmen, the show, absolutely filled with incredible characters that really honor Watchmen and fit right into that universe. And it's just on another level, man. The writing in that show, Damon Lindelof is so perfect for that, because it brings with it so much of that like hopeless drama, I would call, like The Leftovers. This like, what do people do when they are at the end? Like, what do people really do in this long, drawn out, painful like process that they're going through, whatever it may be in The Leftovers. It's 2% of the world's population just disappearing. In Watchmen, it's racism and aliens or whatever. Man, Damon Lindelof was just absolutely the guy to take this through, because there's so much. It's like a show that begs to have a Wikipedia chronicling every aspect of its universe. And what I love about the universe in the Watchmen show is that it's this same kind of altered history that the book had, where like in the book, Richard Nixon was elected for like 4 terms in a row because with Dr. Manhattan's help, he won the Vietnam War and like established absolute US global dominance, because he had like the power of God on his side, literally, with Dr. Manhattan. And in Watchmen, the show, Robert Redford, the actor, is elected president, and he is in his like 3rd term, I think. So we're still working in that same universe, and he passed reparations for descendants of slaves, and it's this huge societal thing that people are grappling with, and that's just such like a that just seems so Watchmen to me, like that kind of altered history, where it's definitely 2020, but it's like this version of 2020 in that universe that just feels really, really real to me. Really cool.
And what's cool about it is it doesn't like tell you that explicitly, you know?
Exactly. It's just they live in this world, and it's like, oh, you look over there and you see this thing that explains the impacts of it. It just feels like that world has its own history that's not spoon fed to you. It's just everywhere.
Yeah,
the lore in that show's everywhere,
and you have to piece it together. Like literally, red formations. That's what they call it in the show.
Redfordations, something like that. Redfordations,
or maybe that's like the slang term. It's like Obamacare.
Exactly. It's a parallel to Obamacare.
But like the first, it's in the first scene, or I guess the second scene of the show. They mention that, and you like have to put it together, and you kind of know what it means because it's like Obamacare. Okay, I can kind of grasp what that is, and it's like, all right, red formations. I think I know what that is, and then you just kind of slowly get context about it throughout the show because it's not like super pivotal, but it's just like pivotal to the world they're in, you know? So like it will just come up naturally. Really cool. Really well done. Really good world building.
Lady True. That's all I'm going to say. Lady True, man. Lady True hype. What a good... Lady True, man. Ozymandias. The fact that they bring back so many characters from the original book, like Ozymandias, and he's exactly where you expect Ozymandias to be in his life. Kind of the logical conclusion of that character. It's so good, man. Wow. It's just, it's a well-made piece of content that you should consume.
Yes.
That would be my official, that's the podcast recommendation. Consume that content.
Slurpy. Slurped.
Yeah, slurp that Slurpee. Does this get one slurp or two? Tell us in the comments. We should have a rating system. We should have a rating system for things that we talk about where we give things, like our, like Easy Allies has their point system. IGN has their point system. We should have like a slurp system. Who?
Easy Allies?
No, they didn't. It's out of 10.
I think they dropped it recently.
No, I literally just watched the Tony Hawk's. That's another thing I wanted to talk about this week. Edit that in, Matt. Just edit in, if you could just splice in so it sounds really natural that I say I also wanted to talk about Tony Hawk because the Easy Allies gave it a 9 and it deserves an 11, man. It's so good.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, great. But man, they have their 1 through 10, boring, lame, been done before. We can have our how many slurps of that Slurpee would you take? If that content were a Slurpee, how many slurps would you consume of that?
One slurp Slurpee? All at once, the worst brain freeze of all time, but it would feel so good.
That's what's lost in these you have 1 through 10. That's not a lot of room for nuance. There's a lot of ways to drink a Slurpee. A lot of nuance. So I say slurp away. With Watchmen, man, it's worth the brain freeze.
All right. We're going to move on to Xbox versus PS5 now. Otherwise, I bet we could fill another 30 minutes about Watchmen.
All right, Matt, I'm just going to say literally two more words. You can have 2 words too to close out this conversation. Any 2 words you want to use, you can use. My 2 words to close up the Watchmen conversation will be lube man.
Yeah, that's a good way. I use lube man as well. Yeah.
We would slurp lube man. Moving on. Matt. So you want to talk about the price releases, the price leaks?
I want to talk about this Cold War, dude. This Cold War that is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
It's been
and unlike Richard Nixon's America, neither side in this Cold War has God on their side.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty clear winner though, in my book. IMO. I
think so too. I really think so. I imagine we have the same conclusion.
All right, let me hear yours.
So first, let's brief over this. So, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears as though we now know the price points for the Xbox Series S, Series X, the S being the less powerful, slightly cheaper model, the X being the big beefy guy, and the both PlayStation models, the disc and discless PlayStation 5s. The Series X will be $499, and the Series S from Microsoft will be $299, and the PlayStation 5 without a disc driver will be $399. And rumored, leaked as of today or the other. We're talking on the 15th of September, 2020, year of our Lord, year of Dr. Manhattan here in Richard Nixon's America. And it has been leaked that the PlayStation 5 discless version will be $399, and the PlayStation 5 disc drive version, what do they call that? Is there an official name for that
It's
version?
just with optical.
That's so lame, man.
Yeah.
That's so dumb. But that version will be $449. So the way this played out chronologically was pretty interesting, dear viewer, where, it's September, and the fact that we're just now talking about how much these devices that people are expected to want to buy over the holidays, that's when these typically come out, we're just now finding out the price. There's been this long, drawn-out Cold War that we'll get into, but it appears that Sony is undercutting Microsoft, because Microsoft was the first to announce last week. It was leaked, and then like a few hours later, the official Microsoft account on Twitter posted that and verified that the leak was correct, and then formally announced it. And then Sony directly undercut by $50 the Xbox Series X at $449. So it's interesting, but the thing that I think for me is the most important part of any of these announcements that I haven't even mentioned yet is that the Xbox is also selling on a subscription model where you pay $25 or $35 a month, depending on the getting the S or the X, and you rent to own them, like you lease them, not lease. It's like an iPhone kind of plan where they give you the device even if you haven't paid it off yet, a payment plan. And I think that's going to be how like 60% of people buy these, like 70% of people buy these, because with how common streaming services are, everyone has all these subscriptions already that like $25 extra a month, like to get your kid the brand new Xbox. Like, I think that's a no-brainer. So in my opinion, it seems like Microsoft, pricing wise, is the way more attractive deal, because then you get access, like just implicitly with this $25 you're paying, you also get access to the cloud gaming, you get access to EA Play, all the EA games, all of Microsoft's games and their big backlog in Game Pass now. It's pretty wild. Whereas with the PlayStation, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like you just buy the system for the full price and there's no other option.
Yeah, that's what it is right now. They might come out with something big, but I doubt it will be able to compare with what Microsoft's got put together now.
Dude, it's just the level of value that you get for $25. Like, I pay $8 a month, or what is it, $4? I pay somewhere between $4 and $8 a month for Shudder right now. And I like it, and I think it's worth it because I love bad horror movies. But for like $25 a month, you're telling me I can get like the brand new Xbox and like every game? What? That's just like, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Microsoft really killed it. Like, I think Sony is just absolutely screwed here. They took
screwed. No one's gonna, like, in this economy right now, even people who are more well off, and especially people who are, hurting economically, like $25 a month versus almost $500, like $449. It's just insane. It's just it's a huge difference.
Difference. That 25 you keep saying, that's the S. That's the real thing. It's 35 otherwise, which still is a great deal. That's still really cheap.
But from my understanding, the S is like really powerful. I mean, the S is like really impressive.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of my issue with this. I think this is all going to end up biting Microsoft in the ass because I think there's part of this that they haven't announced yet where this is like essentially the end of like the Xbox One was the last traditional console release they're going to do. I think this new method is going to be like kind of like phones, but more extended where the Xbox Series is going to iterate every couple years, and I wouldn't be surprised if you get the S. I mean, they'll probably push it to be a little bit longer, but I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 or 3 years the S isn't supported for anything other than streaming. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they just completely move people off of that console.
No, when have they done that ever?
That's what I'm saying. They haven't, but I think this is the new thing. Like, because the S is art. So, did you hear anything about the developers that are getting cranky that the S is so much lower than the X? Not like in price, but in like performance.
No, I've not.
Yeah, a lot of developers are getting angry about it because, you know, it's going to be interesting. It could end up kind of just being like, I don't know. It's gonna be wild because like before, when you would make a multi-platform game, the PS4 and the Xbox One are pretty close, and even the generation before it was kind of like that too. So it wasn't too hard to like, you could set a baseline for whatever like the weaker of the two was and you'd be fine. But now with the new Microsoft approach, they're kind of like forcing everybody's hand to be PC developers, but at the same time, if they want to be on Xbox, they don't have the autonomy to disclude weak hardware. Like a lot of PC games will come out and it's like, if your computer just isn't good enough, then you can't play it. And it sucks, but that's PC gaming. And for this, it's like, okay, so every new game that has to come out for the, you know, whatever bit in the future has to hit the Xbox S standard. And I don't think that's going to last very long. I think I could totally see in 3 years them just being like, yep, the S, if you want to play newer games, you have to have an internet connection already because it's a digital console. You'll just have to stream them. I think that's the plan. And I think a lot of people are going to get really angry about that. But by then, I think everybody's going to be already in on that platform. So, because like if you think about it, the whole console strategy is Game Pass, which is on the back of xCloud. Which is already out. You can already do that on your phone. I don't know how well it works compared to like Stadia, but I imagine their like long-term plan is like, this is it. You know, like gaming's going to be streaming and they're already like setting the stage for it.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. And I don't think, I think that the eventual obsolescence, whatever the term is, of the less powerful console, will be not as drastic as people might think. Like Microsoft will eventually just slowly phase out selling it and replace it with a similarly priced new option that is, you know, probably more powerful than the Series X even. And it'll just be this continual cycle of it's going to be like like iPhones, like iPhones from 5-6 years ago. I think just can't run some new iPhone software, but for the most part they can. And it's not a huge issue because people just buy new iPhones after a while. They're really good at getting people to buy new ones. And I think Microsoft is banking on that your Xbox Series S, like you're saying, like you can buy it now and for the next 10 years, you'll be able to use it as a streaming box to stream, you know, 4K, 120 frames per second games or whatever they accomplish with xCloud, but you know, 10 years from now, but you know, it's probably going to be wild, whatever, but they're just going to be really good in, you know, in maybe like 3 to 4 years at getting you to buy the Series S2 or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I bet.
So I don't think it's that big of a deal at all. I think people are already used to that. They're already used to dropping a ton of, you know, freaking $1,000 or just with a payment plan. Like, Matt, if you think about it with his payment plan, if I'm paying $25 a month always, then I'm not mad that I have to get rid of my Series S. I just swap it out for the new one. I know. I get the free upgrade.
That's what I think they're banking on, but that's drastically different than what we've been in. Like, you could have had your Xbox One for the past, 8-9 years, however long that thing's been out, and played every game. Like, sure, it got shitty. Like, playing Red Dead when that came out on Xbox One wasn't the best experience. I wish I could have had a better one, but that's a thing you could do. But now, if you're going into like the phone approach, I'm just saying I can see a lot of people I think are going to be on board with it, especially with how they're like setting this up. But I can see a lot of people being a little miffed about that.
Well, Matt, just think about what you just said. Like this current generation, like the games that were coming out at the very beginning of the generation, look good still, but I mean, look quite a bit better now. Games that come out now, I mean, and the Xbox One has been supported that entire time, even though there is the Xbox One X, which is just like ridiculously more powerful. So, I mean, it's already kind of been done. So is it possible that these concerns that developers are having are overblown? Because aren't we coming from a generation where a machine has lasted for like 9 years and played literally everything released for Xbox?
Yeah, but the 9 years, the mark after 9 years of this is going to be the X, not the S. Like the S is going to have to go at some point before then, especially with like as things keep progressing, because it's way lower than what the other box can do, like PlayStation, you know, like if you're targeting for those two platforms and you have this kind of hardware that's holding everything back, I'm just saying they're going to drop it before like they, I don't even know. I personally don't think they're going to do another like generation. I think it's just going to be iterative. But I wouldn't be surprised if the S stops getting supported before the PS6 or whatever comes next for them.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But like I said, they have these mechanisms in place with the nature of the subscription model that they're really pushing, where it's like they're trying to soften that blow as much as possible already.
Oh yeah,
and it's so aggressively priced. It's $300. Like that's an amount of money that like 4 years from now, I feel like a lot of people would pretty confidently say they got $400 or $300 worth of value if you play it all the time in 4 years. I mean, it's pretty decent.
Well, what's crazy is that's a Switch. You know, you're buying an Xbox for the price of a Switch. That's nuts.
Yeah.
I know like kind of talking shit about the S, but I think the S is actually like the killer thing, because it, instead of having this console generation where like people can only, like the PS5, it's pretty much one price. Like one's $50 more, but that's not too much when you get up to what it is. And it's like, that's a huge barrier to entry. And then even if you just look at Xbox's like console prices alone, like ignoring the payment plan, which I think is like the real killer thing, like $300, that's great. Especially if you just want to play like Halo, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the subscription service is like even wilder, because it's like, all right, cool, I can scrape $25, $35 together every month. I think a lot of people will.
Or I can scrape $25 a month and see if I really like it. And then if I like really like this, I can scrape together another $10 to upgrade my experience.
Yeah, and you get all the games.
Literally every game that Microsoft comes out with. Sony's not doing that. You're paying $449 and you maybe save the $50. You know, if you were not to get the Series X, but your Series X, you're also going to have Game Pass, and you don't need to use that $50 that you would save on games, because Halo is going to be there. Halo is going to be on Game Pass already. You don't need to. I mean, you're not buying games.
Yeah, it's weird, dude. It's kind of sad in a way. Like Game Pass is great, but I'm gonna kind of miss. It's like the transition from physical to digital for me. Like I still buy physical when I can for like my Switch. That's my only console. But I, obviously buy digital for PC because that's the only option. But I was looking at it like over this past year and a half, if I had just had a Game Pass subscription the entire time, I would have saved so much money on games I bought that just were on Game Pass that I didn't realize it. Like even the
Red Dead 2, GTA 5.
I mean, Red Dead 2 wasn't on there at launch. I don't even think that was a thing yet.
Yes, it was. I mean, it wasn't not at launch, but not too long after. It was very recently on Game Pass.
Okay, that's not what I was talking about, though. I was more talking about like I mean for PC, because I don't play on Xbox. Like I think when the PC one launched, like the first big game.
Oh, I see.
That came out.
You're talking about Game Pass for PC, which is like has a slightly less large library than Game Pass for Xbox.
Yeah, I don't know.
I see.
I think the offerings are bigger on the Xbox One. I'm not sure. But the PC Game Pass, even that is great. Like, I bought Outer Worlds last year for $60, and I was like, oh, cool, I could play this game for $5. You know, like, same amount of time, $5. I could have just spent that on Game Pass, and I just done that with Crusader Kings. It's another $60 I spent on a game. It's on Game Pass. There's another $60 game I bought that's on Game Pass. I forgot what it was, but I saw it there also. It's like, okay, cool. $180. It's $5 a month. Yeah, I fucked up. You know, I should have just been getting that for the past year. And I don't know, it sucks. It's like I don't own the stuff anymore, but I guess it doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's weird.
You know, it definitely feels like the future, and it feels like Sony, bless their hearts, is really relying on their the brand power of their IP, the trust. Because at launch, there's really not that many for either console. Honestly, there's really, especially with RIP, Moment of Silence for Halo Infinite not coming out at launch. But yeah, the neither console really has very strong launch titles. So Sony seems to be banking on people knowing that Sony will eventually put out extremely good games that they'll have no problem dropping $60 on, like Last of Us Part 2. You know, if they were to, like, the next Naughty Dog game is going to be on PS5, and Sony's banking on people paying $449 now, picking up a launch title that, you know, might be very good, but there's not a ton of them. But knowing that down the line, there's going to be these, you know, big hitters, you know, Ghost of Tsushima 2 Ghosts, 2 Shima. People are looking forward to that, or Sony's banking on people looking forward to that, where Xbox has a way less of that brand power for their first party franchises, first party development teams, but has made investments in those, and is certainly at least going to be putting out like shitty, like the game equivalent of shitty but entertaining Netflix movies. I think most people would agree that Xbox or Microsoft can be relied upon, that all of, you know, they've just recently acquired all of these pretty well-known studios under the Xbox Game Studios umbrella to release all of their games on Game Pass, like Double Fine, Ninja Theory, studios like that. And those may not be like games of the generation. Maybe they are, maybe not. But they're at least going to be okay. They're at least going to be like, you know, like The Old Guard on Netflix. That dumb Charlie's Theron action movie. Like, I had a good time watching it, but like, is it an Oscar contender? No.
See, I don't even think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be like a lot of, like, a good example of this, of a game that just exploded. And I think Game Pass was a big reason, or played a big reason, is like Crusader Kings. Yeah. Like, that studio, like, they release a lot of these grand strategy games, and I think Crusader Kings 2, like, it obviously did well enough that they put out 3, but 3 has had reception and, like, attention that it never had ever before. And I think it's because people can, like, try it, you know? It's a map game, and they're scary, and a lot of people don't want to, like, look into that. But when you play it, you realize it's really neat, and there's a lot of cool things, but like, to drop $60 on that is like a huge barrier to entry. But, you know, Game Pass, just download it, try it, and then you're hooked. I think you're going to see a lot of that. Like, a lot of good games that people were afraid to jump into before are going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah, because the barrier to entry is $25 a month. So, you know, it's already
or
there. You can just install it.
10
for Game Pass. Oh, is that how much Game Pass is without any of the bells or whistles?
And that's what's great about it. It's like, I don't even care about what Xbox is doing with the consoles, because like, the real killer thing is Game Pass, because it's on PC too.
I imagine the eventual goal of xCloud, if it's not already, I don't think it is already, is to have parity with its library to Game Pass. Someone correct me on that. But I mean, if every game on Game Pass is xCloud compatible, then like, you can have a freaking iPad. You know, I know there's like weird issues right now where like the Apple App Store won't allow xCloud because each game isn't individually listed on its
Yep.
app store. It's so weird, but I imagine eventually that'll probably get figured out. But right now, on your Android tablet, Android phone, or just like whatever laptop, you can just play any game without buying hardware. And as long as you have a decent internet connection, you can just you can boot up Cyberpunk 2077 on your $200 netbook, I guess in theory.
Yeah, I'm still not super sold on that. I'm just more excited. It's like,
no, I'm just saying the option already exists. Like, let's assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, but let's assume that xCloud is just Game Pass in the cloud, 1-to-1. Like any game that gets added to it, you can play on anything, and it, should perform okay. So you don't need to buy a box. You don't even need to have a nice gaming computer. You can just play
I know.
whatever.
I mean, we already have that though. That's like Stadia, and I'm just, I don't know.
No, but Stadia, no. It's not like Stadia because Stadia doesn't have every game, and you're paying individually for every game. Where with xCloud, you just you already have it. You're just playing whatever.
I mean,
game.
That's not exactly how it works. Not every game coming out on Xbox is gonna be free. Like Cyberpunk is still gonna be $60. I don't think that's coming with Game Pass.
I wouldn't be surprised if down the road.
You're talking
very
down
large
the road.
chunk.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just talking big picture here. I wouldn't be surprised if down the road a ton of major games are just on Game Pass. Just like right now, a ton of major movies are on streaming.
I don't know.
Like
I think people
Netflix.
are gonna get greedy. I think we're gonna have the Disney Plus and Hulu and all that shit popping up.
Yeah, but that's different than Universal, not Universal, but some distribution company being imagine if there was a distribution company like Universal Studios or Disney that didn't have a streaming service and was just we only distribute our movies on Blu-ray. Sorry, you can't stream them. That just wouldn't work. So I'm saying if Game Pass has that effect on the games market where it just doesn't make sense to release physical media anymore because so many people are just doing streaming, then their hand is kind of forced.
I think that's coming regardless, man.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So the fact that Sony doesn't have...
Well, you don't need to do streaming. You can just download it. That's why I think it's largely coming. I don't think streaming is going to be the huge revolution I don't think it's going to be huge for another 5 years, maybe.
But that's kind of what we're talking about Microsoft's vision being we're just creating a platform that can grow. It's not going to have another iteration. There's not going to be another generation of Xboxes. There'll just be these in between stages. These, the iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to 12. These smaller iterations in between.
Yeah, I think every game already can be streamed on xCloud. I think some just you have to own it or have Game Pass. I think that's already how it is.
Yeah, so I just see that being really big. And I know Sony does have a game streaming service, but
I heard it's shitty.
It's just I heard it's kind of jank and the library's not the best.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's weird because that was how they were doing all their old games. They're like, oh, hey, look, you can play this on your PS4 if you play on PS Now. It's that doesn't count. Red Dead, I think that's how they've said they brought Red Dead to PC, and it was it's because it's on PlayStation Now. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that, Sony.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, it's gonna be spice. It really has me rethinking if I'm gonna buy a PS5 at launch. I don't think I am now.
Yeah, right. Me too, man. Me too. I probably will because I just like having the new thing, whatever. But it's definitely making me think about it a little more.
Yeah, I kind of just want to take the money I was gonna spend on a PS5 and buy a 3070.
Oh yeah, those were announced. Those seem pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, and the graphic, and AMD's announcing some cards next month too. It's a good time to be a gamer, dude. A good time.
Yeah, that is something to be said. It is something to be said. It's a good time to be a gamer. Probably the best time ever, except when Ty the Tasmanian Tiger came out. The sequel, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger 2, came out on GameCube. I was really excited about that. That was also a good time. But yeah. I think we've squeezed a we've squeezed as much fresh lime as we can into this Slurpee of content that is the console Cold War, this the CC dub as I call it. But yeah, I mean, I'd slurp it. I'd slurp either of them, man. Like probably not Sony immediately, but I'd take a sip of Sony, and I'd take like a tiny little sip of Xbox, but over the course of like 10 years. Like,
wait,
I would
are
stick
you
with that
getting an
Slurpee for a while.
Xbox?
No, probably not.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say like your PC, like that is your Xbox, you know.
Honestly, if my little brother, who does not have a PC, starts playing some game a lot that is only on Xbox, which I don't know why it
that's
wouldn't have
not a thing
crossplay.
anymore.
No, but a lot of games don't have crossplay with PC and Xbox. Not all of them do.
That's the thing they're doing though.
What?
That next generation, like every PC's lumped in. That's what's cool. That's what's
I'll
fucking
believe
awesome.
it. I'll believe that when I see it. I'll believe crossplay on literally everything.
It's happening, dude. It's already like that's a lot of old games are retrofitting now, like Destiny 2. That's the update next year. Crossplay update.
Like I said,
gonna be hype.
I'll believe it when I see it. So I'm not ruling out buying an Xbox, but I will certainly continue my Game Pass subscription that I think I have a Game Pass subscription that has like another like year plus on it, because they had some deal where you could like grandfather in like several years worth of Xbox Live. You'd pay like $1 to convert your Xbox Live balance, like how many months you had, into Game Pass without paying like that full price. So I bought like 2 years and then just paid $1, and that saved me, if I were to, use the heck out of Game Pass for those 2 years, that would save me, it saves like $250 or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I already have it. I will continue to have it is my verdict. Game Pass seems like a safe bet.
All right. You want to move on to Among Us?
Yeah, we've slurped that.
Slurp.
Podcast, the official podcast take is that's a slurp from us, dog. Yeah, so before we talk about Among Us, I want to kind of switch over to movies, because I do want to talk about Among Us, but I want to make sure we get to talking about Host. Host was really dope, dude.
Yeah,
I really liked Host. Do you want to give the overview for our people out there in podcast land who are not aware of Host?
Sure. It's a movie set at the I believe it's at the canonical start of the Motion Pixels podcast. I think that's when it takes place, or maybe roughly like a couple episodes in.
Yeah, same universe.
Yeah, it's sometime early pandemic. I don't know, probably.
We started right before the pandemic.
That is true. We did. I remember having some conversations about it outside of my once office. Yeah, so it takes place. It probably just takes place when it released, like July this year. There's a couple friends. They're having a group video chat every week to stay in touch, since they're supposed to be socially distancing. A lot of Brits, so you get that accent, which was like kind of rough at the beginning.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh, really? There's like one British accent that just drives me mad, and that the worst character had it. That Gemma, literally the worst person
she sucked.
alive.
She sucked.
And she had the worst accent, and it made me want to. Yeah. Anyways, they're all talking and having a video chat, and I guess one girl. It sounds kind of dumb. She hired a person to do a seance over a video call. She hired a medium to do a seance for her and her friends over their weekly video call. And shit gets spooky real quick.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's kind of like a very 2020 version of Paranormal Activity. Like there is a demon in the house, and you are experiencing the terror of that through the lens of, rather than security camera footage or whatever is in the Paranormal Activities movies, you're seeing it via a literal screen capped Zoom call. The entire movie takes place in Zoom, to the point where like you could start playing this movie to someone and they would just think you're screen sharing.
Yeah, and it does a really good job with it too. It even like it's nice that they kept the authenticity, but it's also really annoying that they like kept the quirks of Zoom calls, like that when that one girl, she's on her phone and her laptop and it's doing that echoing, like the two are reverberating off each other.
Yeah,
they have little
feedback.
Yeah, the feedback. Yeah, they have a bunch of things like that of people having issues with their equipment. Yeah, it does. It's a really good job. I don't know how much you can say without like spoiling much, but I thought the shots were very, I don't know, thoughtful is the right word.
Yeah.
But
no, it's. I found them really thoughtful in that, like, they figured out how to not make it look hokey. Like, it doesn't look like a movie. It really feels like you're just watching this happen in a really well edited,
like 80%.
Like you're seeing what needs to happen most of the time.
Yeah, but it's like 80% of the time it feels like genuine, and then the other 20% it's like, why would anybody hold their laptop like that, right? Like
yeah, there's a lot of like, how is she even climbing into an attic with a laptop facing the other way that her friends can see?
Her phone, and she put it on a selfie stick. I thought that was like a pretty good one. Like,
oh, you're right. Yeah.
When she looks in the attic, it's because she doesn't like, and see, that's one of the really good, thoughtful shots. Because like, there's this part where she hears something spooky upstairs and is gonna go check it out, and she's alone and doesn't want to, be alone, so she takes her phone with her, which makes sense. That's like a connection to other people, so that's comforting. And when she's going up there, she's like, "No, I'm not doing it." So she goes and gets a selfie stick and puts her phone on it and then just sticks it up there and looks around. And it's like, that's clever. That's really clever, because then it can show you something that the character doesn't see. So it's just like,
there's so many truly great scares in this movie that are only possible because of the perspective of the movie. Like, you can't really give them away. But man, this is not a movie where they were like, hey, we should make a scary movie, and then the pandemic hit and then they still had to make it and figure out a way. This is a movie made for, like, the pandemic made this movie possible. Like, it's awesome. This is probably also the first major, like, piece of fiction that addresses the pandemic and, like, is in that world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel shitty. Like, it doesn't feel like, I saw a great tweet that was like the first screenwriter who is in an interview and says, I really feel like the COVID-19 pandemic is a character in this film, is getting punched in the face. Like, I identify with that because it does feel like that's a very easy thing to like cash in on. Like, you can cash in on, like, everyone having this really shitty time. You can cash in on that pretty easily, but Host does not make it feel cheap. Host doesn't feel like it's a cash in. It feels like it's taking advantage of it in a beautiful way. Like, it's making the most of it.
Yeah, and that's actually, I wonder if, this is off the topic of Host, but I wonder if movies are going to start, or like TV shows are going to have like a season where people are in masks. Like, is that something people are going to skip over? Or like, are we sticking with this? Like, what, like any show that's set in present day, like, in that universe, did coronavirus just not happen? Like, I don't know.
There's definitely going to be some changes to how things are, like, I don't know, to like the media we're used to. It's just going to have to change. But I mean, Host gives me hope for that, because this is telling me that people can find really, really creative and, I mean, really good uses of genres I know I already like. Like, I already love horror, and someone made a great horror movie over Zoom, like, during a pandemic. So that's telling me other people can probably do the same. Maybe we're going to have, the scary Discord call is gonna be the next, really awesome horror movie.
The gamer horror movie.
Yeah.
That reminds me. That's like something one of the guys in our Discord had an idea of doing that never took off. It was like,
what?
It was the what's it called? The dating sim, the Discord coronavirus dating sim.
God. Oh my god. Okay, that was really cringy, but absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Because it was a bunch of like friends making you go into it. Go into it.
Oh god, are we talking? I don't even.
This could still happen. Gamers around the world could still play this one day.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's skip it. Let's just skip it. This is somebody else's idea. I don't want to ruin it too much.
Yeah, it's a Discord dating sim.
Yeah.
A Discord dating sim. It's just a bunch of bros who love each other a lot. Let's just say that. It's they love each other a lot. But yeah, moving on. Yeah, Host is good, man. I think I forget what the details were exactly, but the director of Host already signed like a Netflix deal or a deal with some streaming service.
Oh, that's hilarious. He's leaving Shudder.
Dude, no one wants to stick around on Shudder, man.
Oh my god.
That's like a hit it and quit it kind of situation. I love Shudder though. I watched a movie on Shudder the other day that was like 80% of it was pretty good, and 20% of it was just like absolute dog shit. It was okay though. It was okay. It was called The Beach House. I won't get into it too much, but if you like decent horror movies, check it out. It's about like this couple that goes to a beach house, and it has kind of like It Follows vibes, because they go to this beach house and there's just like no one around. It's like they're in this beach town and no one's there except for them, and they're like, I wonder why. And then things occur. They're like,
they find out why.
Yeah, then they find out why. And it's nautical themed. So if you like nautical horror, The Beach House is for you. Very cool. Yeah,
I do like nautical horror.
There you go.
There was this one movie that came out a couple years ago with it's like, I don't think there was two movies about girls surfing and getting bit by a shark. But this one was like more of a horror movie where they get, what are those cages? It's not a Faraday cage. Is that what it's
not? No, it's not a Faraday cage.
What the fuck's a Faraday cage?
A Faraday cage is like that. Hit us up on the Motion Pixels Discord server, the corrections channel, if we're wrong here. But a Faraday cage is like the cage where you like put electronics in when you don't want to be tracked.
Is that okay?
That's like a secure servers would be in like a Faraday cage.
So I don't know why
they're
that
protected
popped to
from.
So a diving cage, I'll just call it that. Do you know what that's called?
Yeah, like a shark cage.
Yeah, but it has like some fancy name. Anyway, yeah, so it's a shark cage though.
Oh, it's a Faraday cage.
Are you being serious?
No.
Oh.
It's not a Faraday cage.
I'm looking this up now. What is a shark cage called? Anyways, so it's a horror movie that takes place in that. It's like two girls go under or get trapped in it. It's really good. So nautical horror. Yeah, I'll try to find it. Tell you what it's called, but later.
Okay.
Yeah. Not right now. Yeah. Well, you like horror? Maybe you can put it on your list for October.
And I like nautical horror.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I was trying to give you a recommendation.
No, I appreciate it, because honestly, it's hard to fill 31 days with a horror movie every day. Like 31 is a large number. Who would have thought? Like, dude, last year when I did it, I was watching like the worst movies, man. Like I watched this movie with Jessica Alba. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was called The Eye, I think, where like Jessica Alba gets an eye transplant and the eye is haunted. And that movie was fucking horrible, bro. That movie fucking sucked, and I still watched it because 31, you got to hit that number. Man, I was watching like all the Halloween Town movies. I should post that list for the Motion Pixels community to watch those movies, because there were some good ones. That's how I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. The first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is also very good in my opinion. Very different than the first one, which is a masterpiece. But yeah, I appreciate the recommendation, Matthew.
It's called In the Deep, by the way.
In the Deep.
Yes.
Is Adele any way involved
No,
in the project?
but the other good shark horror movie is also called The Shallows, and they came out like essentially back to back.
Dude, you know it's a fucking great nautical horror adventure? The Meg, bro. That movie. Okay, Matt, The Meg has graduated in my book in status. So I used to travel a lot for work. The Meg is a movie with Jason Statham where he fights like an absurdly large shark underwater. And The Meg has a special place in my heart because for a long time at work, I was traveling out. I'm a software engineer consultant, and I was traveling out for work every single week. So I flew a lot, meaning I watched a lot of movies on the screen in front of other people's chairs a lot. So, you know, when you're in a plane, you got the little LED screen in front of you where you can watch movies sometimes. And I would always watch movies on other people's screens to see if I maybe wanted to watch them. Like I saw Hotel Transylvania 3 3 dozen times. With no sound, and it's an awesome movie with sound too. That's a movie that graduated to the Watch with Sound Club. A movie that did not, Matthew, was Venom. That movie sucks, and I don't think sound would have added anything to it. But The Meg, I watched on someone else's screen, and I was like, wow, I would like to hear Jason Statham fight sharks, not just watch. And yeah, man.
Why were you even in this situation? Why didn't you like download a movie before you got on the plane?
I did, but you know how lucky was I that I had the ability to, you know, dip my toes in so many so many content pools all across the plane. It was great, man. Hotel Transylvania 3 is an incredible movie. Man, dude, I think Joe Jonas plays a Kraken in Hotel Transylvania 3, and I never would have known that if I had never listened to it. Because
oh man.
Yeah, it's quite good. Wow. Check out Hotel Transylvania 3. I'll probably watch it in October. That's a horror movie in my book. If Halloween Town's a horror movie, Hotel Transylvania 3 definitely is. Also, side note, but a friend of the pod, Kyle Bossman. Kyle, you can come on at some point. You've asked. We'll get back to you. But he played on stream the Hotel Transylvania 3. Hotel Transylvania 3 is a movie starring Adam Sandler as a vampire who goes on summer vacation on a cruise ship with his friends who are like Frankenstein and mummies and stuff. And the game adaptation of Hotel Transylvania 3. Actually, I want you to tell me what you think that game adaptation is.
You run a monster hotel.
It's a Pikmin-like.
What?
You are Adam Sandler wearing swim shorts as a vampire, like throwing like little monsters around. Like
That's
Pikmin.
So cool.
Yeah, it's actually pretty neat. So, you know, check out Hotel Transylvania 3. I'm telling you, man, Hotel Transylvania 3 is that's a gem in the rough, man. It's good, man. It's good. In any way you look at it. Game.
Forking their franchise off that, dude. Now it's just all about Transylvania 3.
What?
They're like pivoting, like the entire franchise is they're forking it. Come on, software.
So you're saying it's no longer the Hotel Transylvania universe. It's the Hotel Transylvania 3 universe.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair to say. You know, we might pivot into a Transylvania cast at some point. We'll see. We don't know. There's no plan for this. We just hop on a Discord call every now and then. But yeah, The Meg, good.
Better with audio.
Yeah, I would slurp that into my ears and eyes. But yeah, nautical horror. You know, undersung genre for sure. Speaking of not undersung things, but things that are currently in the midst of being sung about, Among Us. Among Us is a very popular.
Wonderful transition.
It is a very popular new game by some developers who I do not know the names of. Maybe Matthew does.
Nope.
But it is a social deception game set in space, like Secret Hitler or Project Winter or countless other games in the genre. I could count them. I just haven't. So for me, they're countless. For others, maybe not. If you've counted them, let us know in the Motion Pixels Discord channel. But Matthew, you have played this game and I have not. So take it away.
Yeah, social deception game. So if you're not familiar with what that is, there's usually a good team that's trying to do some objective, and if they finish it, they win. And there's a bad team that is trying to stop that team from doing it. And the good guys typically won't know who is a good guy, so they have to figure out who they can trust and who they can't. And the bad guys are usually less number of them than the good guys, but they know each other, so they can work together. And that game kind of works like this. So it's like 5 to 10 players. You can set on how you want it to be, but there can be one or two, the game calls them imposters. And the game is about when it starts up, you have a list of tasks to go do, which are basically just like super basic mini games that are around the spaceship. And when everybody gets them done, you win. But what can happen in the meantime is an imposter, they have to go around pretending they're doing tasks. And when people are not expecting it, they can kill people. So, and if they kill everybody, or there are more imposters than over half of the people that are left. So like if there's 4 people and there's 2 imposters win. That's how they win. And it's pretty fun. It's a good game. Like I really do like social deception games. Like have you ever played Resistance?
Fall of Man 1,
No.
2, and 3.
The Resistance.
Because yes to that question.
The board game. Or I guess
No.
it's not even really a board game. It's another social deception game. You should try it with us. I'm actually making a Discord bot so you can play a game of it through Discord. So you should join us for that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm done.
But yeah, I'm a big fan.
Are you going to plug your Discord bot? Are you going to release that on GitHub or something for people to try?
I mean, I guess I could when I do it. Yeah, it'll be on GitHub. I'm not really plugging it too hard. I don't care if people use it, but it will be there. Should you want to also play Resistance with your friends. But yeah, it's social deception is a pretty fun genre. However,
what stands out about Among Us?
If you're new to the genre, that core concept, which I think is why it's so big, like a lot of people haven't really, because these games are fun. Like social deception games are usually something you'll play in like a big group, because it's like I'm sure a lot of people have played something like Mafia. I think the other one's called Werewolf. The digital version's called Town of Salem.
To a degree, a lot of Jackbox games are kind of social deception too.
Yeah, and so like, see, and a lot of people like those. Like Jackbox is huge now because it's people realize it's like, oh, it's something you can just do with friends. You can see if your friends are lying. Yeah, from your phone. Like they're
much
fun.
like Among Us.
Yeah, like Among Us. And that's why I think it's doing really well. However, I don't think this game does anything well compared to other people in the field. Among Us is just like, the one thing it does do well is games are a little faster than Project Winter. Otherwise, I think Project Winter is superior in nearly every way. So the way this game works is you can't talk to other players when the game's going on. So if you want to replicate that, because like if you can tell somebody you just got killed over voice chat, that kind of ruins the whole game. So you have to have like a code of conduct that you and your friends follow if you're using voice chat with this game, which is already messy. Like that already has a lot of potential to cause issues. But what ends up happening is about 3/4 of the game, you're muted and you don't talk to people. And the only time you talk is when there's like this discussion phase, which usually will happen if like a dead body is found. Otherwise, you don't talk. And comparing that to like Project Winter, which is also a social deception game, and the kind of setup of that is very similar. You do tasks, and the good guys don't know who the bad guys are, and you're trying to get out. What's cool about that game, it has voice chat factored into the design. So there's proximity chat. So if you go out and try to do a task on your own far away, and a bad guy comes up behind you, you can scream for help and hope somebody can hear you. And that's like part of the game. But if you're too far away and your friends can't hear you, then you're just kind of screwed. So that element lends itself a whole lot better. Like being able to have that proximity chat is just such a game changer that makes it a lot more enjoyable in Project Winter. But yeah.
See, but Matthew, the thing, I haven't heard a word of this, and I know this is why Among Us is so popular right now, and why Project Winter is a snooze fest, why people aren't paying attention to Project Winter. Maybe a better game, but what it doesn't have over Among Us, which does have this, Bean People.
Oh,
Fall Guys, top of the world right now, full of bean people. So is Among Us.
I think it's because they're both cheap. Among Us is also $5, and a Project Winter is $30.
And Among Us is free on mobile.
And it's free. It's free for probably the largest bit of the audience. If you're playing on your phone, and it works well on your phone. It looks, and that's another thing I don't like about it. As a person who played on PC, is the UI is the same for the most part on the PC. So like there'll be buttons to interact or like report a dead body or anything. They're like in the same place they would be if you were to like poke it like on a phone screen.
Oh,
which
annoying.
Is it's like you look at it and you're like, this is a shitty phone UI. And like I didn't realize it was a phone game when I first got it, and then I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, look, it is a shitty phone UI because it's on the phone. Yeah, I think that's mostly what's helped it. It's free, and if you're not on the phone, it's cheap and it's cute. And the death animations aren't amazing, but like it's a meme now. I think also that just has to do with it taking off. But yeah, I think it's just an easy access point for this really fun genre. Because you can play it online. A lot of streamers are doing it. It's easy to get into, and it's probably a lot of people's first entry into the social deception style of game.
Yeah, and right now, much like Jackbox, anyone can jump into it. You don't have to, have a game system. You don't have to have ever played a video game in your life. But like Jackbox is a game that like you can play with any of your friends who, have never touched a video game ever, have no interest in it, and they'll have a great time with Jackbox because it's like just like a party game.
Yeah.
And Among Us has a very similar system where like you plug in your room code into your phone or the game client on Windows on your PC or whatever, and you join a room. It doesn't matter. You can if you're streaming on Twitch, you can stream and your viewers can populate your room or whatever. It's a game that works really well when everyone is away from each other, but like on a call.
Works really well, and this game do not belong in the same sentence. This game does not work well technically.
That gets to the meat of
networking.
I have not played it. I have not played, so I'm not. I didn't really understand the appeal of it. I like the visuals, like the death animations are very funny, and it's cute. But there's been plenty of social deception games that I'm aware of. Played a bunch of Avalon and Secret Hitler, the board games.
Oh, Avalon is Resistance,
same kind of deal.
By the way. Avalon, that's Resistance. They rebranded it, so.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that's cool. Okay,
then I've played a bunch of that. Yeah, that's fun as well. And Among Us just didn't stand out to me, but in thinking about it, I think it is the fact that it's packaged in a way where it's great for the time right now. And on top of just being good for people, who are social distancing away from each other, it's also good for like the almighty content creator crossover. Like all over YouTube and Twitch, you'll be watching your favorite streamer. You'll be watching Shroud, and Shroud will start playing with, big streamer X, and those two audiences then combine. And this is a thing that content creators do across a lot of mediums right now. These collabs, and Among Us facilitates that, where my exposure to Among Us before filming the podcast is really just videos I've watched of, like a bunch of streamers that I like all getting together and playing, a bunch of YouTubers that I like all getting together and playing. And the game, I think that's also helped buoy its popularity, because of the like collaborative narrative that you're building with other people. That's really fun to watch too.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of just good reasons why the game's taken off right now, but it's unfortunate because they didn't really like build the infrastructure to support it. Like the matchmaker is utter trash. It's actually just broken. Like you can't. It takes forever to join a game or even like host a game, like we were trying to do earlier. So I hope they can get that figured out, because it works when you get into a lobby. Like if you own a lobby, you can just keep people in there and just keep playing. But if it ever comes to like getting people into a new lobby, it's a train wreck. It'll take like 10 minutes.
Ugh.
Yeah. And then it involves you typing in that code over and over again, which is now longer. They had to make it longer because before it was so short and random people would have your code and would just get in because it was 4 characters. So people just hop in and be like, oh, this isn't the room I wanted. So yeah, it's fun. I do enjoy it. But it makes me want to play better games in that genre. But that's only because I've known of them. It is like a half slurp if we're gonna play
half slurp.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll reciprocate a half slurp just based on the content that I have already slurped. I have already consumed. They have not been great slurps, but they've been okay slurps that I don't regret. So I'm okay also with a podcast recommendation of half slurp of the content slurpee that is Among Us.
Wonderful. Slurp factor.
Matthew, one thing that we talked about at the beginning of this podcast that has already got just a ton of feedback from our audience. I'm actually, one moment, our producers are kind of talking in my ear right now about this. I think it's time to bring back the most notable Nelson, our long missed, long awaited the return of this segment that birthed the birthing pod. If we are the xenomorphs, these perfect beings, the most notable Nelson bit was the xenomorph egg that flapped open. And we oozed out of it, I would say.
Do you have a Nelson? I'm not prepared.
Yeah, I'm all Nelsoned up, bro. So
hit me with your Nelson. Hit me with your second most notable Nelson.
Whoa. Spoilers. I don't know if you just edited in that response because you went forward and heard about who the actual winner of the most notable Nelson was this week, but I mean, I certainly didn't divulge it.
We've already talked about the most notable Nelson, and keen listeners would know who that is.
So for those not keeping score at home quite yet, the most notable Nelson is one of the internet's funniest bits that we have on this podcast, where there's a kind of a gauntlet, a Thunderdome, a 1v1 every week, or there was a gauntlet, a Thunderdome 1v1 every week of 2 very notable Nelsons, Nelsons who changed things, Nelsons who meant a lot of things to a lot of people, and the best Nelson wins and survives, to see another Thunderdome the next week. And the reigning champ, out of my control, out of anyone's control, really, the reigning champ has been Larry Herb, Xbox Live's Major Nelson, the face of Xbox, the body who Xbox runs through its veins, green blood like a xenomorph, actually. Xbox Live's Major Nelson, Larry Herb, has been the most notable Nelson back to back. over and over again. Maybe he'll win again this week, but yeah, the gauntlet this week in a most notable Nelson, nay, the most notable Nelson this week is the movie Half Nelson, starring Ryan Gosling as history teacher Dan Dunn, Dunn with 2 N's at the end and an E, who works at a Brooklyn school. Though well liked by his students and colleagues, he secretly spends his evenings hopping bars and getting high. A female student named Dre, played by Sharika Epps,
description?
catches him in a drug-induced haze after a basketball game, and the two stir ... And then I would have to click the more button on the Google description of this movie, but you kind of get the idea. Half Nelson is the challenger to the reigning champ, the incumbent notable Nelson, Larry Herb's Xbox Live Major Nelson himself. And just as the administrator of the most notable Nelson this week, I am pleased to announce that once again, Larry Herb Xbox Live Major Nelson has won the most notable Nelson. Dan Dunn, played so memorably by Ryan Gosling in the 2006 drama and social problem movie. That's what Google says the genre is, drama and social problem. Didn't quite make the cut. So congratulations, Larry Herb, Xbox Live's Major Nelson.
Done it again.
And theme song. Wait.
You didn't even close it.
Wait, Matt. I've done it again. That's for those viewers not quite keeping score at home. The pun there is that Dan Dunn, who was so memorably played by Ryan Gosling in the 2006 drama and social problem movie Half Nelson, shares a last name with what I was doing. I had done it again, and his last name was Dunn. So what I had forgot to done was close out the podcast, because this has been the Motion Pixels podcast. I'm your co-host, August Meyer. August, say goodbye. Goodbye. Joined by my lovely co-host, Matthew Rawlings. Matthew, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Because this has been the Motion Pixels podcast. And theme song.
Finished.
I was about to hijack that theme song from you.
It is funny to see who gets the theme song. And most of the time it's just you saying theme song because you don't like my bit. But,
yeah, it's the exit button. It's like,
yeah,
get
it
me out
is
of
the
here.
eject
Theme
button.
song.
See, it's the eject button or the cherry on top.